by Ludwig Bemelmans. They thought he had asked for more volume, but Neckish, the conductor, had caught a raindrop on the end of his baton and another on the palm of his hand. He stopped the orchestra, glared up into the sky, and then, at Ferdinand Loeffer, the Concertmeister. Loeffler reached out for a flying-away page of Finlandia, and the audience opened umbrellas and left. The musicians ran into the shelter of the concert hall carrying their instruments, and Herr Loeffler walked sadly to the back of the wide stage and took off his long black coat and shook the rain out of it. There, Neckish arrested him with his baton. He stuck it into Herr Loeffler between the two upper buttons of his waistcoat and held him there against the tall platform. Gonghofer, the percussionist, could hear him say, "You're an ass, Herr Loeffler." "Not a Concertmeister, an ass. It's the last time, Herr Loeffler. You can't do the simplest things right. We have a deficit, Herr Loeffler. These are not the good old days, Herr Loeffler. I am telling you for the last time, inside here, in the hall we play when it rains and outside when the sun shines." Herr Loeffler silently took his blue plush hat and his first violin and went out and waited for a streetcar to take him to that part of the city where his wife's brother Rudolf had a small cafe, the Three Ravens. Frau Loeffler sat in the corner of the little cafe, reading the New Free Press out of a bamboo holder. She stirred her coffee. "Ah, Federal," she said, and squeezed his hand. "But you are early today." She could read his face, and she looked with him through the plate-glass windows into the dripping street. "Outside again," she said, and turned the front page of the Free Press, and, pointing to the weather report, read, "Slight disturbances over Vienna, but lovely and bright in the Salzkammergut." "Inside, outside," she said over and over again. These two words had taken on the terror that the words death, fire, police, and bankruptcy have for other people. Behind the counter next to the cash register sat Frau Loeffler's sister, Frieda. Frau Loeffler pointed at her with the thumb of her right hand. "Look, Federal, look at Frieda. Since I am waiting for you, she has eaten 3 ice creams, 4 slices of nut tart, 2 cream puffs, and 2 portions of chocolate. And now she's looking at the petite fleurs." "Yes," said Herr Loeffler. "Ah, why, Federal, haven't we a little restaurant like this, with guests and magazines and newspapers, instead of worrying about the conductor, Neckish, and inside and outside?" "He called me an ass, Neckish did," said Herr Loeffler. "It's the last time," he said. "Who does he think you are, the Pope? Why doesn't he decide himself if he's so smart? I go mad, Federal. I can't sleep 2 days when you play, reading about the weather, calling up, looking at the mountains, even watching if dogs eat grass. I try to ask farmers, they don't know either. You can never be sure. They come from nowhere, these clouds, when you don't want them. And when you play inside and hope that it rains outside, the sun shines, just like in spite, and they blame you." They put their 4 hands together in silent communion, one on top of another, as high as a water glass. Frau Loeffler looked into her coffee cup, and she mumbled tenderly, "Federal, I have to tell you something." With this, she looked shy like a small girl, and then she told him into his ear. "No," said Loeffler, with unbelieving eyes. Yes, Federal," she said. "When?" asked Herr Loeffler. "In January. About the middle of January. Dr. Grasbrin said." Loeffler guessed right about the weather for the next 2 concerts. The sun shone. Outside it was. Neckish was talking to him again, and Loeffler walked to the concerts with light steps, whistling. One day, at a rehearsal of Tell Eulenspiegel, he could hold it in no longer. He had to tell them. They patted his shoulder and shook his hand. Even Neckish stepped down from his stand and put his hands on Loeffler's arms. "Herr Loeffler," he said, just Herr Loeffler. And then one day, after Liebestud, Loeffler, coming home, found in front of his house the horse and carriage of Dr. Graubrin. Loeffler ran upstairs into the living room just as Dr. Graubrin came out from the other door with from his wife's room. "My wife?" asked Herr Loeffler. "No," said Dr. Graubrin. "No, Herr Loeffler, not your wife." Dr. Graubrin washed his hands. Herr Loeffler went to kiss his poor wife and came back again. "Herr Doctor," he said, "we won't. I'm not going to." Dr. Graubrin closed his bag and slipped on his cuffs. "Pull yourself together, Loeffler. Be a man," he said, "but you won't be a father." "Never?" asked Herr Loeffler. "Never," said Dr. Graubrin. Herr Loeffler sat down on the edge of his chair. "We are simple people," he addressed the table in front of him. "We ask so little of life. We have always wanted him. We have even named him Putzi, we call him. And why? Annie has burned candles to St. Joseph, the patron saint of fathers." He sighed again. "Why does this happen to me? And how could it happen? We ask so little." Dr. Graubrin pointed out the window. "There, Herr Loeffler," he said. "It's like this. Do you see that lovely late blossoming apple tree? It has many blossoms. Then comes the wind." Dr. Graubrin reached into the air and swept down. "Schrum, like this. And some of the blossoms fall, and the rain takes more." With his short, fat fingers, the doctor imitated the rain. "And brr, the frosts, more blossoms fall. They are not strong enough. Do you understand, Herr Loeffler, what I mean?" They looked out at the little tree. It was rich with blossoms, so rich that the earth below it was white. "That blossom? Our dear little Putzi," said Herr Loeffler. "Yes," said the doctor. "Where's my hat?" The doctor looked for his hat, and Herr Loeffler walked down the stairs with him. "If you are going into town," said Dr. Graubrin, opening the door of his landau. Loeffler nodded and stepped in. At the end of the street, a lamp-post was being painted. The carriage turned into a tree-lined avenue. A column of young soldiers passed them. After the lamp-post, Herr Loeffler talked earnestly to Dr. Graubrin, but the doctor shook his head. No, Herr Loeffler, impossible, cannot be done." Herr Loeffler mumbled on. "We ask so little." He understood his words. "The only one, never again. My poor wife, love, family." And all this time he tried to tie a knot in the thick leather strap that hung down the door of the wagon. "No," said Dr. Graubrin. The driver pulled in his reins, and the horse stopped to let a streetcar and 2 motor cars pass. Herr Loeffler was red in the face under the protection of the noises and starting motor horns and the bell of the trolley. He shouted, "Putzi belongs to us!" And he banged with his umbrella 3 times on the extra seat that was folded in front of him. The driver looked around. "Putzi?" asked Dr. Graubrin. "Our little blossom," said Herr Loeffler, pointing to the doctor's bag. Dr. Graubrin followed the flight of a pigeon with his eyes. The pigeon flew to a fountain and drank. Under the fountain was a dog. He ate grass and then ran back to the curb. From there, the doctor's eyes turned to the back of the driver and across to Herr Loeffler. A tear ran down the Concertmeister's face. The doctor put his hand on Loeffler's knee. "Loeffler, I'll do it. There's no law. Every museum has one, properly prepared, of course, in a bottle. Next Monday, Servus, Herr Loeffler. Auf Wiedersehen, Herr Doctor." And so, Putzi was delivered to Herr Loeffler. Herr Loeffler, who wrote a fine hand, designed a lovely label for the bottle. "Our dear Putzi," he wrote. Under the name, he printed the date. The next week, Herr Loeffler guessed wrong again. Rain for Beethoven outside, and sunshine for Brahms inside. The conductor, neckish, broke his baton. "Go away, Herr Loeffler," he said. "I am a man of patience, but you've done this once too often. Get out of my sight, far away, or I never see you again, ass of a Concertmeister." Herr Loeffler walked home. For a year, Putzi had stood on the mantelpiece. He was presented with flowers on his birthday, and on Christmas he had a little tree with 1 candle on it. Now Herr Loeffler sat for hours in his chair looking out of the window, and at little Putzi in his bottle, and thought about the weather, and the orchestra, from inside and outside. The new Free Press was mostly wrong. The government reports were seldom right. Neckish was always wrong, more often than when Loeffler had given the word, but Putzi and his little bottle, Putzi was always right, well in advance. It was not until months had passed that Herr Loeffler noticed it. He watched closely for a few more days, and then he told his wife. He took a pad and a pencil and drew a line across the middle of the pad. On the lower half he wrote inside, on the upper hand outside. Then he rubbed his hands and waited. Long, long ere the tiniest blue cloud showed over the rim of any tall mountains that surrounded the beautiful valley of Salzburg, Putzi could tell. He sank to the bottom of his bottle. A trace of 2 wrinkles appeared on his little forehead, and the few tiny hairs which were growing over his left ear curled into tight spirals. On the other hand, when tomorrow's sun promised to rise into the clear mountain air and shine all day, Putzi swam to the top of his bottle, with a Lilliputian smile and rosy cheeks. "Come, Putzi," said Herr Loeffler, when the pad was filled. He took him and the chart to Neckish. Herr Loeffler now is back again, inside when it rains, outside when the sun shines. And that's the end.